Welcome everybody to Service Drive Revolution! And we are actually filming this on Cinco de Mayo, even though you're listening to it on Cinco de Nueve or Diez or whatever. But that is not going to keep us from celebrating. And if you're listening to this and not watching, Jeremy has on a sombrero and an American flag, sunglasses with an American flag, which is
is it wrong to be wearing American sunglasses on Cinco de Mayo?
Build that wall, Jeremy. Build that wall.
Whoa, why are you throwing me into that category already? You know I'm already controversial enough. What do you have there?
I am drinking a little bit of the Dos Artes tequila.
Nice.
We have a fun show for you today. I'm going to talk about something that is driving me crazy and really pisses me off during this quarantine, and I have to get it off my chest before I kill somebody. We're going to talk about something that we've been doing with the coaches during the quarantine. We're also, Jeremy and I are going to let you in on how people are making more money during this quarantine and not in the right way.
Oh, Chris.
You know that a lot of the listeners actually listen to this and don't watch it. So when you're shaking your head, they can't hear you.
Well, I'm not going to interrupt you.
You just are digging your sombrero the way you're going back and forth.
We're
going to tell them about the conspiracy of people, because you love conspiracies, of people making more money than they were before the quarantine and not in the right way.
Chris, did you know, this is breaking news, that because of all the government handouts from COVID-19, that beginning in 2021, there will be a new tax assessed to every single person around the globe to pay back the one world government that bailed everybody out of this situation, which that one world government fabricated and made up the COVID-19 virus.
Is that China?
We don't know. Stay tuned. You'll find out soon.
My subsidy check was signed by Trump.
Was it really?
No, bro, I didn't get a check.
Hey, I got to tell you, you're rocking the look today. You got that trucker hat on, and you've got it going on. It looks really good.
Not for any other reason, but that I don't know what to do with my hair. I look like a crazy homeless person. People just walk up to me on the street and hand me money.
Do they really?
Yeah, I look like a homeless person.
For those of you that are listening,
I'm saying this in. It pains me to say this, but if my guy Homer doesn't open up shop to cut hair pretty soon, I'm cheating on him. I am. By next week, I got to get a haircut. I can't live like this. It's too much. The beard is too big.
Last week I gave myself my own haircut.
Yeah, I can't do that, bro.
Why I'm wearing the sombrero.
I trim the side, but whenever I try to trim my beard, it's a little lopsided. It doesn't work.
That's funny.
So, you know, have you ever read the book by Pete Carroll, Win Forever?
Yes, I have.
So you know that in there, I don't know that it had a deep emotional effect on you, but in there, in his pyramid that was influenced by the late, great Coach Wooden, he has a pyramid of performance, I guess, right? With different things. And on there, right in the middle, is be early. And so Pete's thing is that if you're on time, you're late.
Okay.
And I don't know, it's just a thing for me. Like I'm early for everything. Like if I have a meeting somewhere, I'll be an hour early for the meeting sitting at a Starbucks waiting. But I mean, I'm just early for stuff. And so, you know, you have employees.
You're not sitting in the Starbucks anymore, sir.
Well, no, but I'm saying before the quarantine. Now that we're in the quarantine, you start to understand something about human nature. And what you start to understand about human nature is the excuse is always the excuse. It doesn't matter. So those people that were late for work, right? It was traffic, right? Because traffic is kind of a common one here in Los Angeles because, let's face it, we have some of the worst traffic maybe in the country, if not in the world. We got to be on the top 10 list for the world and top 3 for the country, especially right here where we are downtown. We're right where every freeway hits, you know, and so... Yeah, so traffic's an issue. So the employees that complain about traffic, right? Oh, well, I'm sorry, I'm 10 minutes late. There was traffic. Okay. Like, what do you do? Like, like it bugs you, but like you don't want to start a fight that early in the morning with everybody, right? So
my law porter texted me at 7:57 that he had a flat tire. He's supposed to start at 7:30. And my whole thing was that's just an excuse, because if you really hadn't have slept in, you would have let me know at 7:15 that you had a flat tire because you had to drive to work. So
that was his last day, right?
yes, it was.
You fired him?
Yes, I did.
I'm proud of you for that, because that's what, Vicky, one of our coaches, I was there when she fired her top advisor for being late for a shift meeting. Like, and I don't know at the time, I wasn't for it, but now I get it. So anyways, the same people that somehow hit traffic or the train was late or whatever it is, now they're quarantined at home. They're quarantined at home, Jeremy.
And they're still
late for stuff. So you have a Zoom meeting and they're still 2-3 minutes late. They wander on. And it drives me crazy. Like, how can you be late on a Zoom?
Like, Chris, you don't understand.
There's a traffic jam at your closet?
No, you don't understand. I tried to log into Zoom. I got kicked off. I had to log back in. I had to shut my computer down. And then my cat came and stole my mouse. And then there's all this other stuff that comes with it. So I legitimately was late today because I wasn't logged in on time early enough. And I thought I could just log in with 15 seconds to go to get here.
Jeremy, write this down for me.
Okay.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
How you do anything
is how you do everything.
Is how you do everything.
Yeah. So there's no coincidence that the same people. There's no coincidence that I'm 15 minutes early for a Zoom. I'm always the first one on there waiting. There's no coincidence. There's no coincidence that the same people that get stuck in traffic are the ones that are late for Zoom. They hit a traffic jam in the hallway on their way to their living room or whatever it is, wherever they're. I mean, that's another interesting thing on this Zoom world that we've been navigating. We've learned a lot. It's been really fun, but it's really interesting to see where people pick in their apartment or house to get on Zoom. Like, that they don't know that we can see that disaster and mess behind them.
Do you realize that there were actually attorneys that were showing up for court on webcams, laying in bed in their pajamas still? They didn't even have the decency to get out of bed and get dressed. That's how lazy some of the attorneys are.
Listen, I don't know what your relationship is with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and what you believe about that, but a lot of people on Zoom aren't wearing pants.
That's true.
They're not wearing pants.
I am wearing pants.
Business, it's like a mullet. Remember the mullet? The business in the front, party in the back?
That's it.
It's business from the belly button up, and then it's party down below.
Answer this question. Could you literally sit there with nothing on underneath and just with a straight face go through a meeting? I couldn't do that.
No, I couldn't. But
Jeremy, the answer to that question is absolutely.
Well, Christian, I need you to stand up right now, sir.
Yeah.
Stand up.
He's wearing pants. Barely.
They're short pants. They're capris. So I like where we're going with all this. First, I wanted to get on early, just in support of your Zoom theory, right? Yeah, there's a payola that's happening on the back end.
He's paying somebody in the office to give him the link to this.
Oh man.
Yeah. And on SDR, we have a really wide range of viewers. And I think that we try to cater to everyone of all walks of life. And one of the areas where I think that we need to make sure that we're focusing and acknowledge that the coronavirus, it's been very, very stressful for the Flat Earth Society. They fear that social distancing members, it could push people over the edge.
That's pretty funny. But only half of us think that's funny because Jeremy believes in the flat Earth thing.
And then he's gone. Like, he doesn't even stay around for any
comments. He's a hacker. That's what hackers do. They come and go. Like, I haven't been drinking, Jeremy, so this tequila's hitting me kind of hard.
I wish I had a glass of that right now. I'm going to have to go get the moonshine out back.
So what do you think about the Zoom thing? What do I do when people are late for Zoom?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. For me, when I think about people who are proverbial late, they either fall into one of two categories. They either fall into the category where they don't know how to prioritize stuff and they continue to take on too much I kind of fall into that category myself, so I can have some empathy for those people.
So wait, hold on. Your train of thought is that during the quarantine at home, when there isn't a lot to do and you're not coming into the office, you have too much to do.
Well, I don't know. What if they're writing a new book?
It's not a perfect.
No, see, you misunderstood what I was saying.
It's not a perfect. What would you call it? Theory. It's not a perfect theory.
No, it's not. In real life, though, people that are always
I feel
late
like maybe this is like talking to the devil about sin.
That I want them to be late? No, and then the other side
No,
of it is...
but you've been late to Zoom meetings before, so maybe you have a bias.
I probably do have a little sympathetic bias for them. However, the other side of it is this. You have to look at their performance. Are they an average performer or are they a high performer? So then if they fall into the mediocre performance category, it tells you who they are.
Yeah, but what hurts about that, once again, not a perfect theory, is what if you have two other high performers on that Zoom waiting for the other high performer to come on the Zoom? Is it not disrespecting the other ones?
Oh, they get ticked off to like...
Yeah, so then they're looking at me like, hey, boss, we're wasting our time. We'd rather be working or, I don't know, during the quarantine taking a bubble bath, and we're sitting here waiting.
Hey, do you know on Zoom that you can kick people out of the meeting? You should just kick them out next time. If you're not on time, you're locked out. Like, period.
So just do the podcast without you?
I was on time this time, man.
You were early this time. I was a minute late.
I was here. Yeah, I mean, yes, kick me out. If I'm not there, then kick me out. That's fine.
Look at you falling on your cross. Okay.
Oh, that hurt.
So we've been doing this thing. Honestly, I wish you were on it. We should have invited you to it because you would have such a good time. But so we have our coaching meeting coming up, and we're going to do it on Zoom. So originally we were doing our quarterly coaching meeting where service managers come and, we hang out for 2 days and we talk about business and get their heads right, teach them some stuff. And we're going to do it on Zoom coming up towards the end of the month. But we're going to have speakers this time. And one of the speakers we're going to have is Andrew Tarvin. So Andrew spoke at Top Dog. You remember him, right?
I do remember him. Yeah, I really liked his presentation.
So, and there's a great episode of SDR with Andrew. It's a great interview. But the thing I love about Andrew is he's a comedian and he does stand-up, but he's very tactical and he has a system for the way he does it, right? And so I was like, hey, he's gonna speak at our coaching meeting coming up in a couple weeks. It would be cool because we've been having a morning like shift meeting call at 7 a.m. with all the coaches. It'd be cool if he coached us on how to train better and use humor. And he's been doing it this week and it is unbelievably funny, but he has a real system. Like it's been one of the best things that we've ever done. And some of the coaches that you would think are a little more dry are the ones that, are really coming up with some funny stuff. So this Friday, and I hope you got an invite to it. If not, I'll make sure you do. They're all going to perform 3 minutes of stand-up. So
nice.
Think about the coaches, right? Some of them are kind of a little more reserved and buttoned up. They're going to do 3 minutes of stand-up on Friday, and I have an ongoing competition with them, so they get points, and then one of them's going to win this old Dale Carnegie book I have that he wrote on Lincoln that's like kind of a priceless like collector's item that he actually signed. So yeah, if you want to watch that on Friday, but it's unbelievable. So Andrew Tarvin, he's speaking. We have James Vlade, who is he's a college baseball coach. He works for the Marlins now. He works for Jeter, but he's one of the winningest college coaches ever. And he's going to come on and kind of talk about mindset and performance. He's got an amazing story. We have John Del Campo that's going to be on, and Jenna Larson, who spoke at the Elite meeting. She's going to come on and talk about performance and mindset and things like that. So we have a fun meeting coming up. And I think that the Andrew Tarvin thing that Christian and I did has been one of the funnest things. It's been really exciting to have our coaches work on things when they're not traveling around because they're usually on the road most of the month. So it's been really fun for them. Most of them look like they're going stir crazy, especially the ones that have kids.
It's interesting because, a couple of weeks ago we talked about, what you say to yourself, and how it can affect you. And a lot of people that think they're not funny or they can't use humor, they label themselves as, that's not me. I can't be that. I'm not a comedian. So what you're teaching them, though, is this is just a skill that they can learn. And coming out of the lockdown, like a lot of places now are loosening up and you're able to go outside a little bit more than you were. If you still have some downtime, man, learn these new skills. There's a lot that you can learn, right?
Yeah, no, it's been great. We've gone every week. We've had a different topic that we've dug into and had a contest, and we've gamified it, and it's been really, really fun. Really fun. Okay, so next topic: people that are making more money during.
Wait, this is your
quarantine.
rant, right? You're actually going to rant about this.
The Zoom was a rant.
Oh,
I can rant about this too. I mean, I don't know. Don't I just rant anyways? Isn't that kind of my style? If you described my style, wouldn't you just describe it as rant?
I would call it more powerful.
Powerful?
Powerfully motivation.
That's a compliment.
I vote strategic
So
rant.
I know a couple people. First of all,
What do you vote, hacker?
what?
His rants are strategic.
Strategic.
Yeah,
What do you
strategic.
mean by
rant.
that? Voice of.
Wait, so what you're saying is they're powerfully strategic?
So when they start out, you're like, where's this guy going with it? And you think he doesn't have a plan, but he has a plan at the end. That's what makes it so impactful.
So you're saying I'm sneaky.
Jess.
Why don't you stay on, Christian? We'll come back to the rant about this. Why don't we go to the first question that is from somebody who claims they know you? Is the voice of God there? Are you there? By the way, the voice of God is always early for meetings, Zoom meetings. He's usually on there before me.
Well, that makes sense since he is omnipotent.
He's God. He's everywhere all the time.
Exactly.
The voice of God is never late. Punctuality is
for
important
sure.
to the voice of God.
So, voice of God. The question that somebody was asking about Christian, or they worked for Christian. I'm curious, Christian, about this person. Before we answer the question, could you give us, were they a good employee? Were they crazy? Did you ever catch them doing anything nutty?
No, so
They steal
nothing.
their own car. Go ahead, voice of God. Read the question.
This one comes from Kelvin on LinkedIn. Backstory is that I worked for Christian Lafferty a few years ago, and I learned so many things as an advisor. What should I do as a service manager if I have upper management that won't listen to me because of my age, versus what I can offer to help grow the service department, even though my results in the service department speak for themselves?
So the context, Christian, what do you think, Kelvin? Why is he getting himself in this situation?
So I think that there's a couple of things going on with Kelvin. One is I think that we hit the nail right on the head with the mindset to start, is that he's really aware that he's young and up and comer and everything like that. And the backstory is when I hired him, he was a super young kid. But even then, in his early 20s, he knew that he wanted to be a service manager. Like, he wanted to run the show, and he wanted me to kind of teach him everything that I could about managing a team and being a leader and everything like that. And the kid paid attention. So I don't have anything but great things to say about him. But my advice to Kelvin would be to use his youth as an advantage, not a crutch. And I think that there's things that he has learned and that he can use to make sure that he is getting the voice and the ear of upper management and using the youth as an advantage, as opposed to, I think right now it sounds like he's using that as something that is detracting him from his performance. But I'd embrace the heck out of it.
How old do you think Kelvin is?
I think he's probably right around like 28, 29 right now.
28. So here's my thought, Kelvin, is enjoy being the young kid. Because I don't know, coming up, I was called the kid. Nobody calls me the kid anymore. So enjoy it while you enjoy this handicap while you can, because it's fleeting. Then all of a sudden you find yourself knocking on 50 and nobody looks at you as a kid anymore. So, and all those guys like Christian that you worked for are dead.
Oh, jeez.
1 foot in the grave. 1 foot in the
Yeah.
grave.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on this.
How many of the mentors or service managers, coming up, they're gone. They were heavy smokers. What do you think, Jeremy? What would you say to Kelvin?
Keep that youthful energy going. Keep your passion unbridled. And if management won't get on board with your dreams, save your money and go get your own store. Break the mold. Find a new niche in this marketplace because you've got the passion and the energy. Do not let society tamp it down and put your fire out. So keep fighting, save your money, find a dealership that's going belly up, and go get your own store.
I think that's good. That's good advice. I think there's another layer to this. If you want to get really, really deep, is the thing that I learned. So I was 24 when I started going around doing training and consulting in service departments, and so I was the kid. And it seemed like every time I would go into a dealership, mostly in Washington in the beginning, where I grew up, the state of Washington, I would get hired by the dealer to come in and train the advisors and work in the service department. And I would be there for a week, right? So I'd come in on Monday. I would spend all day Monday in the service manager's office, who had like the short sleeve dress shirt and a bottle of gin or whiskey in his drawer behind him.
And the clip-on
And I would spend
tie.
all day in there. Yeah. I would spend all day in there with him asking me like, well, what have you done, kid? And what do you know? And the whole time I just want to be out in the drive where the money's made. And so I would tell you that the thing that I learned is there's another way to influence the situation without taking it head on.
Oh, but come on, Chris. That's not fun, though. That's not fun.
No, it's not fun. But you're going to learn that either way. So maybe just embrace it where you're at and see if you still can't create an outcome that is positive by controlling the narrative and creating momentum in ways that nobody can stop, right? Creating a customer experience that nobody can compete with. Like the thing I always had going for me is I had more key throwers than anybody. So,
and what's interesting too is the other side of this is you've got to be covert with it, which why he's running into roadblocks is because everybody resists change. It's human nature, right? We do not like change. So if you've been a manager or your dealer principal and your dealership has been successful for 20 or 30 years, who's this young new kid to come in and tell me that I'm not doing it right or we want to change? So anytime that you force people to change, you're going to get that natural resistance. So Chris, you're right. You've got to show them a little bit of success first and, maybe just be like the stealth bomber and just come in under the radar and then just blow everything up. And then when the dust settles, you're like, man, that was really cool. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a couple examples of what I learned. So after getting trapped, 10 times in an office with a service manager telling me I didn't know what I was doing, I'd never been a manager, I didn't understand, and it wasn't a conversation that I ever won. I could debate it all day long and I could point at the results, like I could sit there with their financial and point at the results, but in their head there were a million excuses why they had the results that they had. And honestly, even though the managers were 50 or 60 years old, it was like arguing with a 2-year-old. It was a waste of my time. So what I learned to do is create an agenda. So I would send an agenda to the dealer and I would say, this is what I'm going to do on Monday. I'm going to come in, I'm going to interview everybody. I'd like those pre-set up. And also I want to go to lunch with you because someday I want to be a dealer and I want to learn how you did it. So now my first day, I'm talking to everybody. Ends up that after I interview all the advisors and the techs and I talk to them, I know more about the department than the manager ever would. All I've done is shake the manager's hand and get to work. I go to lunch with the dealer. The dealer's teaching me how they became a dealer, how they handle cash. Like I'm learning all kinds of things about how they got loans, what they did. But now the dealer feels more like he's mentoring me and I have a direct line to the person who's making the decisions at the end of the day. And now the service manager sees me come back from lunch with the dealer. I have a different authority than I did as a 24-year-old kid walking in all meek, going, I'm here to train your advisors, right? So I changed that narrative by the way I planned ahead, by the way I came in, by how I framed it, and the presence that I had. And, that sort of thing works. So you can do that. you can do that right now where you're at. And you're going to have to learn that one way or the other. But the thing that was great about going in and fixing service departments the way that, we do and we did was you have no gun in a gunfight. You barely have a spit wad. You're an outsider. You can't fire anybody. Really, you can't really change the pay plan, even though we do. But you influence all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you can't hand it to HR and say, this is the new advisor pay plan. It's got to go through the dealer and the manager and debate and all that. And so you just start to learn over time how to influence situations where you have it's not a fair fight, but it makes you think a different way. It makes you plan better ahead of time. It makes you execute it. Every little thing that you say and you do matter. Like, say, for example, if I came in to a service department and I'm interviewing the advisors and they're like, are you going to change my pay plan? And I go, yeah, we're going to look at the pay plan. I'm done in the water. That advisor leaves that meeting, tells all the advisors that we're changing the pay plan. And now all of a sudden the thing is, how do we get this guy out of here? Even if my pay plan was better, they don't want me to change the pay plan. And so every little thing that you say matters. Like, why do you like the pay plan? Like, I just flip it on them. Like, tell me what's good about the pay plan, right? And so you learn influence that way. I would. There's a great book called Winning Through Intimidation that is about this real estate guy who bought apartment buildings. And basically the whole book is about attention to detail and how you show up. Like, he would show up and contracts would go from lawyer to lawyer and things would change. So he learned to show up. He had a secretary there, and this is like in the 50s, had a secretary there to type up the documents, had a lawyer there to do it. Like, he got ahead of everything. So, it all got done when it was agreed to. It was agreed to. And he has an analogy in that book that there's three kinds of people. There's the kind of people that tell you that they don't want your chips, but they want your chips. There's the kind of people that tell you they want your chips and go after your chips. And then there's the kind of people that kind of tell you, like, I didn't want to, but I had to get your chips. But that's all there really is. Everybody's trying to win, and somebody's a winner, somebody's a loser. And you have to learn at a very young age, if you want to move up in management, is unless you want to be a victim to the hierarchy for the rest of your life, and your excuse is that you weren't in charge or you couldn't do it, and you want to get real results, you're going to have to learn influence at a higher level. So I'd read that book. It's a good insight into that. Don't let the title scare you, because it's not Winning Through Intimidation. It's an aggressive title, but it's actually a pretty well thought out book that will teach you that it's attention to detail. The other story, I've told it on here before too, is Johnny, who was an advisor with me, saying, I always thought you were a douchebag because you wore a suit to work. Like, start thinking and dressing and looking the part you want to be now. Like, I was the only advisor in a suit. Yeah. Nobody else was wearing a suit. They were wearing khakis and polo shirts that they got for free at the Volkswagen convention. Like, you got to separate yourself.
Why do you have to pick on Volkswagen?
I'm just saying they're wearing the polo shirt that they got for free. Like, they don't even invest in the way they look, right?
Yeah, but Chris, you don't understand. Sometimes we work on cars and we get dirty.
Bro, none of these advisors were working on cars. Their fingernails, they wouldn't even work on their mountain bike if it broke. Trust me.
That's true. Yeah,
I might have been the most mechanical one out of all of them, and that's not saying much.
You know what I love about just answering that question? He's got 3 different segments to go from, and if he takes a piece from each one, this kid is going to be very, very powerful. I mean, I can already see the tenacity that he has. Obviously, having to put up with Christian at work is just, that's in and of itself.
No easy.
Yeah, he's already been to hell and back. Christian, what would you say about our answers? Like, do you think that'll resonate with them?
I think it'll definitely resonate. One of my favorite things, thinking back on him, and it kind of brings me up to a history thing that I'm going to get to in a second, but one of the things that always stuck out about Kelvin is how coachable he was, and how he would sit and he would listen to you, he would listen to me, he would listen to the other coaches, and he was that person that would take that feedback and go out and change and execute. So he's not afraid to change, and I think that that's one of the advantages that he has, is that he's got adaptability, and as Jeremy said, he's a super tenacious guy. And I actually really like your thought about, like, if he starts to dress for the part and then use his other advantages, I don't think anyone would stand a chance against him. But yeah, speaking of that history thing, as we kind of talk about this coronavirus, everyone wants to get political with it and everything like that. And
they really do.
They do. It's crazy to me. And if we really stop for a second, we know like Trump didn't create the coronavirus, right? And really, whether you're left or right, it doesn't matter. Obama didn't create Ebola, right? And Bush didn't create SARS, and Clinton's really only responsible for a handful of herpes cases.
That's political, Christian. You got political.
Oh, man.
I'm out.
Jeremy loves that, a Democrat joke. Okay, voice of God, do you have another question?
The voice of God has many questions.
Not those questions, bro. Questions from the audience.
This next one comes from email. I am a service manager of a Kia dealership in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I was wondering your thoughts about doing mobile services like oil changes, filters, windows, and recalls, and any other repairs we can do. We have a lot of retirees and families in our area.
Chris, I'll attack that one. I mean, I'm sure you've got some thoughts on it, but there was an initial thought that I have that I would love to share, and that is when you're doing mobile service, I think you have to tailor it to the mobile environment. Oil changes aren't necessarily conducive to the oil change environment. And can you guys hear my audio okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So if I was going to go after mobile services, it would be towards things that, because if you're going to change oil out at somebody's house and it gets messy, that's just not very good, right? So I would look for the services that we can do, diagnostic services, check engine light. Those are easy, right? We can scan it, and then, hey, if it's something we need to get you to the dealership, boom, we provided a service and we got to get the car to the dealership. And then maybe an air conditioning service. Those are something that you can do, especially down in the Florida area. I'm not a fan of oil changes and trying to work on a lot of cars on the side of the road or in parking lots just because it gets, too messy. So look for the easier services that you can do to expand your market. And then also the things that cars need service for, get those into the dealership. I think for oil changes and stuff like that, I want the car at my location rather than being out on the street.
I want to do the math. So if I do the math on it in a Hyundai or a Kia dealership, Toyota, Nissan, it's going to be more cost effective to pick the car up and deliver it than it is to have a tech out there, right? So your techs are your highest cost here in this equation. So the math, and to be competitive in your pricing strategy, the math will work better if you have some younger college kids or kids that are lower paid, maybe not minimum wage, but a couple bucks above minimum wage, out there teeing the cars up, bringing them in, letting the techs have them lined up, and keeping the techs in their stall, doing oil changes, and deliver them back. And there isn't a big difference to the customer. The customer's like, hey, if you take it and bring it back by this afternoon, I'm okay. If you get it while I'm at work, and I understand maybe you're dealing with clients that are more retired, they probably have two cars, and so you're taking away the inconvenience of coming in. But I would prefer to do it that way. The math will work out much better, and we'll have our technicians being very, very efficient. Now, it's important in that scenario to have a process in place where whoever's going is doing a walk around. The advisors, just like we're doing in the quarantine here, the advisors can call ahead of time. So, imagine Jeremy is an older retired gentleman that has is it a Hyundai or a Kia, voice of God?
Kia. Sorry.
Has a Kia?
Yes, it was
And
Kia.
I would call and I'd say, Mr. O'Neill, because I'd call you Mr. O'Neill because that's the generation you come from. Mr. O'Neill, this is Chris from Bulldog Kia here in beautiful, humid, hot, unbearable Florida.
Hey, Chris, how are you today?
Now I'm sending out Tommy to pick up your car.
Who are you sending? I can't hear you. What's his name? Hey, Mary, they're sending a guy out to pick up the car.
Hey, could you put Mary on the phone?
Oh, she's deaf. She can't hear you.
Mary, what are you wearing? Anyways, the point is, call him ahead of time, build a little rapport, and then send Tommy out, have him do a walk around with him at the car, bring it in, then check history, and call him back and advise on anything they need. You could do the inspection too. You're going to find that your average per RO is going to be higher. Go back and listen to the episode with Brian Benstock. His average, I think, is triple what the national average is, just because they pick up most of the cars and you're dehorsing the customer. So psychologically, they're like, yeah, well, while you have it, do it. So, put a process in place like that. But you're much better off to go pick it up than you are to have techs out on the road trying to find the place, then trying to find a place to do the work on the car and all that. You're better to pick it up, bring it back, and you can find that you can probably do that for $10 to $15 with Uber or however you're going to administer it, versus a technician that's costing you, $100 and something an hour by being on the road. You're not going to be able to charge the customer that travel time. You agree with that, Jay?
I do. Great thought. Absolutely.
So do the math. Do you have another one, Voice of God?
Yes. This next one comes from New Jersey. Chris, great show. I heard you and Jeremy talking about a members-only shop. I'm curious and want to open one in New Jersey. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Man, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I think for what we teach as far as getting key throwers, we do create a membership, that follows us. We just don't charge for it. I think what's going to happen is this. I think we're in the midst of this shift, and obviously COVID changes everything too, from the way that we used to do business to the way we're going to have to do business. And I think when you look at some of the revenue streams in the future from an independent automotive repair shop or even the dealership, the things that we generate revenue from, whether it's parts and labor, those are typically the two biggest things. The part becomes the commodity, and in the future, that's even going to be more of a commoditization, and customers are going to price shop us a little bit more. So we want to create something different, and that is take the traditional automotive repair experience, which most consumers absolutely hate, and let's do better. But let's make it an exclusive club where you have to gain entry into it, and that it's so wonderful that you only need so many people in your marketplace to fund this, and you can literally change and transform the entire way that automotive repair is done. And you don't have to worry about, creating the sale, because it's all going to be driven from the membership basis, and it's a different feeling for the consumer. So I think the first thing is, if you're going to create a membership shop, I think you've got to find your client base. And if you can do it without going retail, what I have found with my shop is we're in three and a half years in now. We're just now ready to start to market it. And by year 5, I'll be ready to flip the switch. So if you're going to take it from scratch and build it, you're looking at about a 3 to 5 year process to gather your clientele and then take it out of the public and then go private.
How does a club work? How does the club work? Explain it to me.
Well, there's a number of ways. You can do a low monthly fee that would include so many services, or an annual fee. I prefer the annual fee, and then if you want to finance it and do monthly payments, you can do that. But ideally, we're going to get the two schools of thoughts are you either get, it's like a car care club kind of, where you get so many oil changes and services for this fee, let's say $100 a year, or there's another thought is we do everything your car needs. So if we get it before 30,000 miles, we're going to do everything, including tires, brakes, all the repairs, and you're going to pay us so much per year. So there's two different avenues you can go down. And I don't know about the full repair one. That gets a little more expensive. I just want mine to be where you've got to pay to do business with me and be a member, and we're closed to the public, because that's a very powerful statement.
So what's the range, and do you charge different for the age and the model of the car? Like if you have a BMW that's 15 years old, is that charged different than somebody who has a Toyota Corolla that's 4 years old?
Yeah, but so the first avenue would be I could charge you say $149 a year, and it gives you your 2 services per year, tire rotations, fill up your fluids, and then you
But
get
that's just prepaid maintenance.
basically is what you're doing. Yes.
Oh.
Okay. So that's one avenue that you can go down. And so you've got to really think through the process and what you're going to offer and how is it going to be beneficial for customers to pay for it. With the repair one, I don't think you could put a 15-year-old BMW on that repair plan. It'd be too expensive.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a member of different clubs. I'm a member of a cigar club. I've set up a lot of clubs that are very profitable, like for doctors.
Right.
So I've set stuff up for doctors where you're paying so much quarterly and they're your doctor, and a doctor can do about 100 patients and have a private practice, but it's your personal doctor. And if like I have a doctor that if something happens to me, he shows up at the hospital, he calls, he
cool.
he coordinates everything. But he also sells me supplements, so I'll get all my vitamins through him, and that's another stream of revenue also. I've tried to get doctors to do prepaid meals. That's been a little questionable. They don't really want to go into that, but it would be something. I know we have a client that has Harley stores, and if I had a Harley dealership, I would have a club. I would have a cigar club, bar in there, because that feeds to that demographic. But I'm having a hard time understanding how just having an independent shop, how you could make as much profit as you could just running it normally by having a club, because you're kind of running an insurance company in a weird way where you have to be able to tell what they're going to need or what the loss ratio is, right?
Yeah, and we can put this up on for a later topic because we could really go into depth on this. But when you look at, so why does everybody pay their Costco membership? Because they perceive that they save money shopping at Costco, right? Okay, so it's no different with an auto repair customer. So you drive a BMW. It's a very nice vehicle. When are you out of warranty on your vehicle? Are you out of warranty now?
I don't have a BMW, bro. I turned that in. I have the truck, the Jeep.
Okay. So let's say your Jeep's out of warranty and you got to start paying for brakes and, all this other breakdown stuff. So from 50,000 to 150,000 miles, you're on the hook for the repairs. So how do I make it where the cars that you drive, it's beneficial for you to pay me an annual fee to do business with me? Number one, you get priority service, VIP treatment. The experience is amazing, and you save money over retail automotive repair. Now, I can do that if I have a captive audience. If I know my client base, I can buy my inventory better. I can provide parts at a much lower retail price to consumers. And then at the same time, because we're more efficient, I can drop my labor costs. So if I can show you how you can save 40 or 50% over the traditional automotive repair bill, which we do that through proper maintenance, it's something that can work.
Yeah, but I've set up insurance, reinsurance companies for clients, and I've managed them before. And so let's say you have a Ford dealership and you want to sell your own, extended warranty. Right. You're going to charge a different amount in finance for a pickup than you are for a car. And so that's what I'm saying is there's a big difference between what you would charge for an extended warranty on a BMW in finance than what you would charge for a Toyota Corolla. A Toyota Corolla, the cost of that might be $1,000. The BMW, the cost is going to be $2,500, and you're going to have to mark it up from there because the loss ratio is a lot higher.
Yeah, so that's like tier 2. That's the repair side of it. I would do just a basic membership that gives them their basic annual services, the oil changes, the tire rotations, the air filters, the basic services included in a package price. You're still going to make money on that. You've got a captive audience. They don't have to worry about paying you 70 or 80 or $150 every time they come in. Anything above and beyond the oil service and the basic maintenance is going to be an add-on sale that you still have to sell the additional work that the car needs, but you've got this captive audience that comes in. Everything's pre-scheduled out for you.
That's cool. Yeah, we should go into that deeper.
Yeah,
that's good.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Voice of God. Good job. Thank you for being early to Zoom meetings.
Awesome job.
You are welcome.
Bro, just looking at you makes me laugh.
Are you talking
Anybody
to God
who's
or
just
me?
listening to this, you got to go over to YouTube and go to Chris Collins Inc. on YouTube and check this episode out because Jeremy's outfit is it is a celebration of
This
life.
is one of the most visually stunning episodes we've had. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, so we have two more things we need to get to. We need to wrap it up here. The first one is people making more money during this coronavirus. So I've heard of people that were laid off that are collecting over $1,000 in unemployment. They're making more than they were at their job, and they get the stimulus check of $1,200. They're making more not doing anything than they were before. And how does our government pay for that? Because I think the idea of the stimulus check was people would go out and buy TVs and feed the economy, but I don't think people are doing that.
I mean,
Mostly because they're closed.
We got more work out of it. Certain businesses did get more. I go back to this whole thing of we're creating a society that is going to be dependent on the government, and this is a test to see how many people lay down and say, I will survive on this amount of money. And here's what's going to happen, Chris. They're going to tax us. All this stimulus money is not free. They will pass legislation
Taxes
that makes
have to go up.
Oh, there's going to be an across-the-board percentage use tax, sales tax, something out there to pay this money back. There's
You know where I'm thinking about moving?
Idaho?
Wyoming.
Why would you
Wyoming's
go
the
to Wyoming?
number one state in the country for there's no income tax, no business tax. It's better than Texas or Nevada or
Let's
Florida.
go. I'm down. Let's go. I'll move.
Wyoming?
Yeah,
I love Wyoming. It's beautiful.
absolutely.
I don't know that you can get anywhere from that airport, but it's beautiful.
So here's.
Jackson Hole. Have you ever been to Jackson Hole, Wyoming?
I have not, but I hear it's awesome.
It's beautiful. Okay, one more segment before we wrap it up.
Wait, that's all we're going to talk about? These lazy people sitting at home just collecting money?
Well, I was going to ask you how long until we're communists, we're socialists.
We're already there, bro. We're there.
No, I'm still making money. The harder I work, the more I make.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
How long until I'm sharing what I make with a bunch of people that don't do anything?
10 more years.
You think that soon?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I'll be slowing down by then.
Me too. Me too.
Rich uncle.
Rich uncle.
So terms you should know.
Oh.
Rich uncle is a term you should know. It's the beginning of the Millionaire Service Advisor book, and the idea is that service advisors understand that they need to have a rich uncle. I had a rich uncle when I was a service advisor. My rich uncle bought me houses, bought me cars, bought me all kinds of cool clothes. Remember I said I was an advisor wearing a suit, wearing a cool Donna Karen suit to work? My rich uncle paid for that. And rich uncle represents your customer base. That's your rich uncle. And so if you think about this, if you connect with 2 or 3 customers on a deeper level every day, over 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, how many key throwers would you have, Jeremy? Do that math really quick. 3 a day times 2 years. 375 billion customers. No, I don't know. It's a lot, though. It's a lot.
Wait, so there's
And so
there's 250 working days in the year. So you double that, that's 500, that's 1,000. You add 1 to that, you got 1,500 customers in your client base.
A year.
Now, that's in 2 years. So you're going to have about
So then you would have
750 per year.
4 years, you'd have 3,000.
Yes, and this is why...
3,000 key throwers.
Yes. You're going to have your own little business within that business, and people are just going to toss you the keys.
What? You're going to have your own business inside of a business?
You
Is
can
that
go
legal?
work out at lunch. It is legal.
In
You
a
could go work at
socialist
lunch.
society, is it legal to have a business inside of a business?
For now, it is.
Get it
Now
while
it
you
is.
can,
Get
kids.
it while you can. Absolutely.
Build your business inside of the business while you can.
It is.
Don't wait. Sooner or later, they're going to elect Bernie, and you're... I don't know what happens when that...
Trump's going to get a second term. He's going to buy
We
his
weren't
way
going to
into a
talk about
second term.
politics. You
Well,
right wing.
you brought it
There's
up.
like right wing, and then there's like you're
There's
like in
Jeremy.
you're on the side of the. What do they call that?
Oh, I'm really glad we did this today because I was really grumpy this week, and this whole episode has just lightened my mood. My staff's going to be like, what in the heck is wrong with
How
you?
far right are you?
I don't know if you can go any further.
Yeah, that's what I thought. What are you gonna do when they come and take your guns?
They're not.
No, but when they do, what are you going to do?
They won't be able to.
They're coming to get your guns in California. I'm telling you right now. We need to move to Wyoming.
They are not going to be able to get them. I've got traps already built and made.
Okay.
They won't get on
your time on that.
They won't get on my property.
That was Rich Uncle. Terms you should know. Have a little shift meeting with your advisors and talk about it. But if you connect on a deeper level of 2 or 3 every day, it adds up over 4 years to 3,000 customers. You might want to double check Jeremy's math, but sounds pretty close. Sounds pretty right.
I think now too, we've got to find new ways to connect with people. You know, it's with the mask thing, dude, that has thrown me off like crazy. Like, you know, you can't smile at people, and I took a blue mask and I drew all these teeth on it, and it looks like and people crack up when they come in. So like every day I have a new version of the mask that we wear. I think you've got to find new ways to connect with people because it's different. It's
hey, Christian,
totally
are you
different.
still there? Is our
Absolutely.
hacker still there? Okay, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Christian had a joke that is too dirty for the show, but we're going to put it up on servicedriverevolution.com. So we'll put it up there inside the membership area. It's free to join. It's your community. Go over there, sign up. But if otherwise, have a great week, and we'll see you. But go ahead and tell Jeremy the joke that I wouldn't let you say on the show.
Thanks for checking everything out, guys. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified when we post new episodes. I'm Chris Collins, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Chris Bulldog Collins. And I'll see you again on the next episode.